Welcome back to the Property Development Club. Great to have you here. The market's looking a little bit more positive. There's certainly a lot more first home buyers out there in the market. Good stock is moving. Interest rates have been coming down. So a lot more optimism for 2026. Andrew Crosby is joining me today from Auckland. So we're going to hear about what's happening in the Auckland market and what he's seeing across his network. There's plenty to talk about, so let's crack on. You were just saying you're in Queenstown recently?
Yeah, I was in Queenstown a couple of weeks ago. It's just a different world, John. It's not New Zealand, mate. It doesn't resemble any New Zealand property market I've seen.
It's Australia, isn't it?
Just flew over. Yeah, you fly between the mountains as you cruise down there and get at the airport, and everything's different. You know, it's like a foreign country. It's like a mini Heathrow at the moment, and it was busy, and apparently it's not even as busy as it has been. And the property's going off, and the money. I can't tell you the top secret reason I was down there, but it involves overseas interests and a lot of money to build some really good-looking stuff. And above the site I was looking at was a house that sold for like close to $30 million. You didn't read that in the paper. Wow. And then above that's another house. And then above that, on the top of essentially a mountain, that someone's building their home with a tower crane. So that's one. It's that big.
That would cost an absolute fortune, wouldn't it?
It's that big. And I think the chap who runs Winton, Chris Meehan, was saying, there's people building $100 million properties down there.
$100 million properties.
Yeah. Once you include the land, but they are.
Wow.
So,
well, the average price is about 1.6 million, I think, and they're up something like 16% on the year. I mean, the rest of the country's flat or slightly less, and Queenstown's just booming.
We've got these ultra-luxury properties, which aren't affected by anything, by the feel of it. It's likely there's going to be a lot of these plus $5 million buyers hitting Queenstown. I mean, where else do you go?
Yeah.
But the other side of it is there's a lot of affordable housing being built, Kirk Gibbons and co., and they're selling out as well. So, and a lot of developers are going down there. Is there a bubble in that side of things? Who knows? But there's certainly a lot of action going on in Queenstown.
We were down a little while ago, and apparently there has been a lot of worker accommodation built. So that's a lot better than it was. Studio type apartments and, places for multi-living and so on. So that was a real struggle for people, 15 people to a house, that type of thing. But it looks like they've sorted that, which is good.
There's more coming. Simplicity's got 600 planned.
Have they?
Yeah, and the developers next door have got a lot more planned as well.
Okay.
I have heard anecdotes that some of the stuff that's built for people to buy actually just gets turned into Airbnb as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me. Going back to the 5 million plus buyer and Queenstown, something I think that gets missed a little bit is yes, they want to go to Queenstown because it's a nice place, but they also want to go to Queenstown because there are other people like them, right? If you're building a 20, 30, 50, $100 million home, then you're probably not going to be hanging out at the local pub, right? You're probably wanting to network with other people who are more like you. And how do you say that without sounding, well, it's not PC, is it? I mean, they live a different life than we do, don't they? I mean, they're flying around in private jets, and this beautiful home they're building in Queenstown, that might only be a holiday home.
It's the person I was talking to gave me a bit of an insight into this different category of life. And now these people don't want to spend too much time in Queenstown; they'll get bored. Yeah. They've got a house in Hawaii. If they're a New Zealander, they might have one in the Bay of Islands as well. They've got a city pad in Sydney or New York. It's different.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, because you want to do things, right? You want to be able to spend your money. That's one of the nice things about the States, I imagine, if you're wealthy, is there's so much to do, right? You can jump on your private jet and you can fly half an hour and you're in another cool city, and you've got helicopter transfer into these beautiful 6-star hotels, and you can go out to these stores where you can spend your money. I mean, you can't even do that stuff in New Zealand, really. I mean, where are you going to spend your money? I mean, come to Hamilton. We've got a Novotel.
Well, you can walk down the Auckland CBD and try and spend your money, or get robbed trying to spend your money. Yeah.
I can't imagine there's much in those stores. They have a few fancy stores, but
Well, they've just announced one, haven't they? They've just announced a big luxury duty-free shop to be built on Queen, or a building to be renovated on Queen Street, a 3-level thing.
Okay.
And I think Andrew Crookzina's behind that. But there was one that had closed down only a few months prior around the corner on Custom Street. So, and I don't even know, is there any benefit in duty-free stores now? But anyway, they've seen a demand.
I guess if you're spending enough, if you're able to, buy without paying 15% GST, and if you're spending, 50 grand on a handbag, 15% might make a difference, right? But then if you've got that much money, then does it really matter?
Yeah, it's a few different worlds, isn't there, operating at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in general, it feels like the property market is getting a little bit more positive. Like there's a little bit more optimism about 2026. I mean, sales volumes have increased a little bit. There's certainly a lot more activity from first home buyers. What are they, about 27% of the market now? That's some kind of record, like the highest in 20 years or something. We've had a number of interest rate cuts. I know they've been so slow and so sporadic that they haven't really done anything yet, but at some point they're going to have an effect, right? I mean, would you agree the biggest driver of house prices is interest rates? Then maybe immigration after that?
Yeah, there must be a large pent-up demand of people who just want to buy and sell their homes, right, and upgrade or whatever, but they haven't been able to because of the market. So interest rates help accelerate that. Of course, total occupant demand, whether people are renting or buying it to live in, same diff really. That migration thing is fallen off a cliff. But There was a recent report. I've got tons of things open here, can't find it, but a recent report which said that may have flattened out.
Stabilizing at 13,000.
Yeah, so
13,000 net, which is still a requirement for a bunch of homes, right?
So other parts of the world want to come here. Of course, the economy and the jobs market isn't that great. I mean, in my side hustle, I'm employing a hang of a lot of people at the moment. I've done 22 this year, John.
Really? Okay.
As I said, I've learned some lessons along the way.
I bet.
People, it's all about the people business, and you get to know people a little bit more, sometimes more than you want to. A lot of us, some of them are just replacement people. Some of them are in business development to try and encourage. There's people out there hiring business development people to try and get their business, better.
Right.
But so the economy is a bit stale at the moment with unemployment.
I think that's the biggest thing holding back, right? So if you look at the positives, interest rate has come down a lot. We're likely to see another cut this month. I'd be surprised if it was more than 0.25. May get another one in February, but I don't know. I mean, I was actually reading Tony Alexander's report, his Tony's view, and he's actually starting to get a bit concerned that they don't overstimulate again, that they cut and cut again. Darcy Angaro was thinking we're going to go right down again. There'll be another 1 percentage point cut over the next year. I mean, if that happens, then that would be
the dollar. I don't know. You follow the currency stuff. Is it 56 cents or something today? I was at the gym looking at the screen. Is it that low?
Yep. It sure is. It's we're back at 2020 lows. We're where we were against the US dollar in 2020
when the world was crashing.
Correct.
Yeah.
And money flows to the US dollar.
Yeah.
So it's not a good sign, and especially against the US dollar, which is like, they're just printing money like mad. So we should be strengthening against it. We're also at around 2015 lows against the Australian dollar, 86 cents.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel that long ago when we were 1 for 1 to the Aussie, but that's dropped a lot. And then one that I do track because, as you know, I lived in Switzerland for a few years. In 2007, a New Zealand dollar bought 1 Swiss franc. Guess how much it buys today?
Yeah.
5 cents. 45
Wow.
Swiss. They call them Ruppen, the Swiss franc. But yeah, from $1 to 45 cents, that shows how much purchasing power we've lost against, a stable country, the world's oldest democracy. They didn't panic during COVID and print tons of money. They didn't have all the inflation. Got a very stable government. But it's massive, eh?
So $100 million home in Queenstown for some Swiss billionaire is chump change, right? It's just got cheaper. It's going down $5 million a year, every month.
See, the other part of the New Zealand dollar being so low is that adds to inflation, doesn't it, in New Zealand? Because we import so much product.
Yeah.
And yes, we export dairy products and kiwi fruit and wine and all that type of thing. But we also import anything that's manufactured. We re-import our own timber as plywood, and buy it with 56 billion dollars against the US. I mean, you can see why everything's so bloody expensive. I mean, it's not just inflation, but I read somewhere BNZ, they reckon that the low dollar at the moment's adding about 0.3, 0.4% to our inflation rate. So it does have an effect.
But along the positives, the farmers are getting a payout from some would call it a short-term thinking.
Sugar hit.
A nice sugar hit. And they're paying off debt at the moment, but eventually that has to flow into buying a new tractor or a shed or a stick at home for the share milker on the back or whatever. And the kiwi fruit industry is going off as well.
Yes, the kiwi fruit is going off, and it's starting to in our area as well.
Right.
There are lots of new kiwi fruit farms being built here around Cambridge and Waipa district. They just haven't got any more land in the Bay of Plenty, and I know the red is doing really well. So the gold is doing great, but now the red's doing really well too. So huge export seems to grow. The volume grows every year.
So that's going to rub off on the regional areas. It's certainly hitting the South Island a little bit, just from anecdotal stuff that I'm doing down there. And it's going to hit Hamilton, right? Must be already hitting Hamilton.
What, the kiwi fruit?
Well, just the fact that the primary sector in most cases is doing pretty well. That means more money in farmers' pockets.
Well, certainly the dairy farmers, but they're not spending.
Yeah. Well,
debt spending.
Debt first, because they all got caught out. How's your market in Hamilton for homes?
From what I'm hearing, the entry level first home buyers, that market is moving pretty quickly. I was talking to an agent the other day who said this is going to be one of their best years ever in volume wise. But it's in that, what was it, 600,000-700,000, that kind of, maybe up to 8. But really, it's really first home buyers. So it's the old. Well, it's actually quite a good thing. It's that organic recovery where the first home buyers buy the entry level sort of homes, and then those people who were first home buyers move up into their second home, and then the people who are there can they can do what they want to do. Maybe at that point they're having children or whatever, and they want somewhere bigger, or they've made a bit more money. So it seems to be moving. It is moving, but it's very specific. It's got to be priced well. It's got to be presented well.
Is that new homes, existing homes, or both?
This person was talking about existing, mainly existing. Because the problem with new homes is, well, they're more expensive for a start, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's costing us more to build a new home than it is to buy an existing one, which isn't great. Which, it's no wonder there's so much stock on the market. There are a lot of houses on the market in Cambridge, a lot of homes on the market.
Not just in Cambridge.
And they're not really shifting, especially new stock, a lot of new stock. So
I've did a bit of a survey, quick one last night on WhatsApp and LinkedIn, John, to some of my developer clients, friends, etc. up here. I asked them a question, so I won't mention any names. If you look at what's happening now in springtime, how does that compare to February, March in 2025, right? So forget about winter. What's the difference between now and the end of last summer? And one of the developers said, townhouse sales prices are worse, sales are okay. And I asked about development land. He said, well, development land availability, a lot of availability at a lower price. I talked about council approvals, etc., how hard or easy it is. And they said, well, no change there. And I asked about investor demand and a decrease in investor demand. So that's one developer. These are all townhouse developers, pretty prolific, even working through at the moment, getting rid of existing stock and still doing new things. And another developer, sales values worse than last year in Auckland. Development land availability about the same, 6 months ago. Council, slightly faster consenting time, so he's hit on to a winner. And in his instance, investor demand has increased a little bit, but he uses a third-party marketing firm.
Yeah, seems to be that seems to be a big thing. Investors seem to be going more and more through those third-party firms. I think especially with a lot of uncertainty around, and they want someone else in the middle to tell them that they're doing the right thing, which is not a bad thing, I guess. But yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I would agree with those with that sentiment. I think Hamilton decreased investor demand. I think that's something we're going to see more and more. especially with the uncertainty now coming up with the election. And, will Labor come in? Will they bring in a capital gains tax on residential and commercial property? Will they extend the bright line out from 2 years, maybe out to 5 years, or who knows, 10 years? Will they remove interest deductibility? I just look at property investment now, and I've been such a proponent of it for 30 years. It's made a lot of sense. When I got into property investment, the government positively encouraged you to buy investment property. You could claim depreciation, and you could offset your losses against your income. There's all kinds of things you can do. I look at property investment today, residential investment, and it's hardly worth it. The yields are next to nothing. You're really buying for capital gain only, really. And if that capital gain's going to be taxed at 28%, I mean, they're not even talking about, in most countries, that capital gain is somehow indexed to inflation. Like the longer you own it, the less tax you pay, basically, because otherwise, why should you be paying tax just for inflation? 28% straight up tax on residential property. I think what they're saying is very clear to me. It's like, get out. Just sell. Just don't own residential investment property in New Zealand. It doesn't make any sense anymore. Just get out.
Well, hopefully that's only 49% of the appropriate votes, right? Because if it's 51% of the appropriate votes, then I think everything else is going to be thrown at us as well, and maybe capital gains will be the least thing we have to worry about, because they all dream up all these stupid schemes.
Well, we don't want all that woke nonsense to come back again. All that blimmin'. We've just started cleaning that up with guys pretending to be women to compete in sports and all that kind of ridiculous stuff that went on. You just see recently, just in the last few days, what's happened BBC, where they made that false video about Trump.
They joined two things together.
Yeah.
Like you'll be doing soon. You'll be doing that in a couple of hours' time, joining two things together, yeah.
Yeah, this is what Andrew said.
But it's rife. It's actually rife within a lot of bureaucracies. And I know that's the media. I don't really deal with the media in any great form. But in other bureaucracies, without mentioning what they are, there's still a heavy woke element that's sort of half still runs the show, and that this government is certainly grappling with,
Yep.
And
I agree. It hasn't gone away.
Took 6 years to embed in, and some of the nature of the people, it's embedded anyway, and it might take 6 to go away. On the investor stuff, I've got another developer said investors and projects still bearish on Auckland property. I'm not sure if he was meaning investors in buying new homes or actual investors, development financier type people, but he's buying quite a few projects, so he hasn't got problems with finance. And then I've got a good mate he owns a lot of rental properties, and he's given me some intel in Auckland. This is all about immigration and migration, really. Mm-hmm. The 750 week rent is now 680. He's got to really push people to view and talk them along. Properties have to be brought up to good condition, which is a top tip. Keep your rentals in good condition.
Yep.
Excess stock all over and languishing. Lots of incentives now. And he's sort of in a, there's bargains out there for investors, mainly in the existing stock. Although you buy the new stock, you get the DTI, the LVR and the DTI debt to income stuff doesn't apply. But still, some of the developers are selling good quality, 800 to 900 to $1 million markets going. South Auckland, 650 to 850. So, a bit of both sides. But the rental market is certainly hurting a bit, and that's just bums on seats.
The latest realestate.co.nz numbers for October said that rents on average were down 3% across the country, $628. Now, you might go, oh, well, that's almost flat. That's not a problem. Yeah, except in the case of like Hamilton, your rates are up 15.5%. Yeah. Your insurance is up 10%. If you want to get anything done to your property, maintenance costs. I want to change just a PIR, a little sensor, alarm sensor at home, just one sensor, and with labor and the sensor itself, it's like $400 to do one little thing. Imagine you have to do that in a rental property. Every time you call someone out, it's a couple $100, right? And if your rents are flat, landlords are taking that all on at the moment, right? They're funding it.
My wife is our property manager for some of the properties that we own. So she just doesn't really show me that stuff. But I was because I spend a bit of time working from home, etc. I've had to fix a few appliances in our house that are broken down, right? And there's a little scheme that they've got. It's like I take a photo of the issue. Our washing machine needed a new seal. So I take a photo of the thing. I give them the model number, the serial number, everything. I say, bring this seal and fix it. And what do? They turn up and they say, oh, you need a new seal. That'll be $140 back. Comes back 3 days later, puts the seal. Yeah, another charge out fee. And that's happened twice now. It's unbelievable.
Very frustrating. Very frustrating.
But it's just, so the landlord, I mean, I'm just hanging on, clinging on for dear life, really, being a landlord. It's not fun. And it ultimately means there's going to be less homes for people to rent. Shane and Simplistic can only do so much, really.
Well, and they're not going after that. Build to rent is not about affordable rentals, right? Those are good quality, high end rentals, hotel style with the probably have staff on site.
His is probably medium end. His is medium end. The high end stuff is targeting people with lots of disposable income, young professionals. He's a tier down, but but eventually this won't be enough. Now, I read about it in the UK and stuff, and in Australia. I mean, Australia's market, you can't get a rental over there, can you? It's going off.
No, absolutely nuts. Well, it didn't help that the government comes in during a housing boom and says, "Oh, we'll give you $30,000 and we'll back your lending, so you only need a 5% deposit." So they just put fuel on a raging fire.
Have you been to Australia a couple of times in the recent months?
No, just once.
Oh, yeah. What'd you see over there?
I was in Queensland, and it's booming. Like Gold Coast, there's just apartment blocks going up everywhere.
Right.
Cranes. Then they're running that new tram line from Burleigh Head all the way right up through Gold Coast.
Right.
That's going to be really neat. But the whole road is under construction. There's work going on everywhere. And then they've also got the Olympics coming to Brisbane. So they're doing a lot of work around that, a lot of infrastructure. The big problem they're facing, though, the construction industry is facing, is that the government these government jobs, they're paying whatever they have to get staff.
Yeah.
In some cases, the government would up to doubling the salaries of guys that they had employed. So they can't compete. They can't get the workers. So the government is crowding out the private industry in Australia for housing. So they're all the effort is going into all this infrastructure, which is great. Like, wouldn't it be nice if New Zealand built infrastructure like that? But then they haven't got the people left to do the housing.
Well, when our market does get better, we're going to have the same people problem. You read all these stories about hundreds of applications for jobs, sure, but once I've got my finger off the delete key, I'm left with about 5.
Exactly. They just haven't got the skills, or haven't got the attitude, or haven't got the education requirements, or whatever it is, right?
Or they've gone to Australia. They don't appear to be going to England too much anymore.
That's a point. I saw that stat. This year, I think it was 92,000 people, New Zealanders, applied for Australian residency. Okay, 92,000 New Zealanders. So, and half of them were not born in New Zealand. So that says that a lot of people are just coming to New Zealand as a pathway to Australia.
Yeah.
That's not good for the country.
No, that's like Rotorua and Wakatani. Populations of those two cities just buggering off each year. Yeah,
it's a lot of people, eh? That's a lot of people, but the ones that I've seen leaving, from here, they're good skilled tradies. Yeah, well,
the go-getters, they're moving. They're the workers. They're not the ones that are sucking the benefit and everything else.
No.
And that means that decreases the quality of what we've got left here, really.
Just to finish up on housing, what's going on here, but Waikato house prices are pretty much flat, up 1% on the year, average price $797. Waipa is quite a bit higher now, eh? So that's Cambridge, Te Muru, 865,000 average house price versus $797 Waikato. Waipa rent $640 a week, Hamilton about $560 a week. Some of that will come from the fact there are a lot more townhouses in Hamilton. So nothing particularly exciting going on. But again, I'll come back to the positivity. ANZ's business outlook, they reckon 58% of businesses are positive about the economy, that's a really good thing. Apparently, that's a good number. Businesses are getting more confident. It's not showing up in the PMI or are the PSI, the services. So in the manufacturing and services, they're still below 50, which means contraction. And if you see those going above 50, things are improving, because they tends to show up before you see it in other indicators. So while the economy should be getting better and businesses are getting more confident, it's not in the numbers yet, unfortunately. Concrete production down 6 to 8%. So that doesn't really tie in with the increase in building consent numbers that we've seen recently. Building consents are up quite a bit, which surprised me, actually, with something like 33,000 listings on the market across the country. Why are people rushing out building new homes? Am I missing something, Andrew?
I don't know. It's very interesting. It must be, I don't know, maybe there's a lot of homes being built on sections around New Zealand. I mean, there was a rush earlier in the year to get them before some new rules, but that's died down now. So, it doesn't sort of match the reality of what's happening. Well, maybe it is. Maybe it is about to happen.
Well, it could be some kind of blip, right? It could be, I don't know, a couple of big apartment blocks being pushed through or something. I don't know, but it seems like a big number.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the new stock of new homes in Auckland, and last night it was 4,000. That's one of the highest numbers I've seen. So, and now we're near the end of spring, we're in summer now. The stock is, and that's just the stock that's advertised. Behind some of those ads are 10, 20, 30 different units.
Well, that's a good thing, because you can tell us about this now that Auckland Council has made this change, and they've done a big flip-flop on MDRS, and I've had a few people contact me and go, do you know anything about this? I've thought I had this land that I could develop. Or in some cases, people even had consents, and then council just go, nah, you can't go ahead. That's it.
So for those listening or watching who don't know what happened, the Labour government and the national government agreed actually to introduce this thing called medium density residential rules, MDRS, whatever that stands for. And it basically says
medium density residential standards.
Right. And for any section, you can carve it into and build 3 houses on it. Anything in Auckland, for example. And then all the big cities had to, Christchurch forwarded about. Tauranga said, yep, go for it. And Auckland basically said, yep, go for it. But we're going to have a few areas where you can't because of infrastructure and floods and stuff. Anyway, so what happened in old Auckland? Somewhere between 700 and 1,000 homes were in some form of resource consent or building consent approval status, most of them approved, under these new rules. And then council sends out a letter literally a month or so ago saying, if your house is not built with a code of compliance by October 9, which happens to be next week and when the letter came out, we cannot guarantee that your building consent or your resource consent is valid.
Even your building consent.
Please check with your planner.
Oh my god!
Well, the building consent's valid, but if it doesn't meet the resource, council basically said we don't know what the underlying rules are.
But you can be all the way through. So you've done your resource consent, your subdivision consent, your engineering consent, and your building consent. It's all done. You've spent $100,000. I mean, easily if you're doing a couple of townhouses, and probably a year of your life pushing it through, and then now you can't use it.
Worse, it could be under construction.
What?
Yeah. You have to have code of compliance.
They can't stop you when you...
Well, this is the logic. And so the mayor has... So Auckland Council just said to the government, you sort it out. And Chris Bishop said, no, council, you can sort it out. That was the last correspondence. All the planners, all the developers are up in arms.
Because the government said that councils could opt out of the MDRS, right? Was that the coalition who said that they could opt out?
Yeah. That's the current lot. But they said they can opt out, which is fine. But they've opted out in a very, very aggressive way, and it just shows like throwing boiling water over the development industry and watch everyone melt away. Because how can you take any risk to invest money and banks lend to you and all those sorts of things when you've got this crazy carry on going on? It's pretty easy. I mean, if they wanted a hard out, they could just say, if you've lodged a resource consent application or anything further down the track, it's still valid, right?
It just shows they have an absolute and complete disregard for private business, for the risks that people take, for the fact that they're putting their hard-earned money on the line, trying to create something. In this case, new housing. It just doesn't. They just don't care. I saw this when I ran into the problem in Hamilton where they didn't have any sewer capacity, right? So I have sites that are sitting there we can't develop, one that's vacant already, and we can't do anything with it because the council didn't spend any money on sewer. And well, you just thought you could develop your site. You could, but now you can't. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Who's running this country?
Well, the council also fighting with the government, right? Oh, you want us to do this? Oh, well, then here's the implications. And it seems like central government politicians don't realise, or maybe they are realising, that councils can really dig into a little detail that can derail stuff.
Oh,
right?
There's a million things they can use to derail your development.
Well, 1,000,002, because I've got 2 new ones I'm trying to recover from in the South Island.
Well, I just had one recently, just as simple as in Cambridge. We finished these duplexes at 10 houses, and comes to code of compliance, and we don't pass. And it's like, why didn't we pass? Because of the garage carpet in the garages. Well, there's a laundry tub in the corner on the garage carpet, and you put a washing machine next to it. But in Waipa district, you're not allowed to do that. You need to have vinyl 1.5 meters from any plumbing fixtures now. So like our kitchens now, horrible. They're big vinyl areas, and you've got to do the same in the garage. So we had to stop. We had to cut up the carpet. We had to order vinyl. It took about 10 days to get the vinyl delivered, and then put the strip of vinyl down, put the laundry tub back on to pass code of compliance. Now, why? The garage carpet is plastic, right? And you come in with wet
it's
cars.
marine grade waterproof. I've put that in my
And the water runs off the car and the mud and all. I've got it in my garage here, and we've got cats and dogs, and there's a mess. And then you wait till it dries and you vacuum it. You know, like, why do you need vinyl? It's just stupid little details. And nobody knew. The carpet layer didn't know. The plumber didn't know. The project manager didn't know. The only person who knew was the building inspector who'd just been on the course. This is what we do now. This is how we learn stuff on site, right? Nobody informs you of anything. It's just, you get the building inspector who's been on the course, and he says, "Nah, we don't do it like this anymore. Now you have to do it like this." It's just so dumb. The whole thing is so dumb.
Yeah, where's the Minister of Red Tape Cutting, David Seymour?
Yes, David.
Did you lodge a thing with him on that one?
No.
Granny flats. Can you build a granny flat yet? I'm confused.
Yeah, you can without consent up to 70 square meters.
Right.
Except you can't. But it's coming. But I don't know how it's coming. How is it? How is it? I just don't understand it. Again, we haven't got the sewer infrastructure in Hamilton. So what? I'm not allowed to build townhouses, but anybody who wants to put on a granny flat, that's okay. I just can't see how it's going to work.
There is a sewage company who has this sort of what they claim is an innovative scheme, and they can get it down to quite small developments now. Not quite the small infill terraces. They're sort of at 30 to 50 houses they reckon to get it down to. The sort of wastewater stuff. It still needs the solids trucked off every now and again, but it deals with all the liquids. And I said, look, if you can get that passed by Blimmin Auckland Council and Hamilton Council, I've got a long list of people, including right next to me, who can bloody use that system right now and develop affordable homes. You know, in your case, next to the damn hospital.
So what are we saying? We're saying that we need to create our own campsites now, independent campsites, basically.
Well,
so
because there's a conspiracy.
Next, we'll have to collect our own water, and then we'll have our own little nuclear power generators for our own developments, because the council won't provide any services. And that would be awesome, actually. Could you make it then also your own state, and you could issue your own currency and have passports, and you could just decide who's allowed and who's not on your site? That'd be awesome.
They're still going to pay. You're going to pay twice the rates though for all those privileges.
No rates now, because we're independent.
Yeah, there's a detail.
No. This corner is John Kennel land, and you're not allowed in.
I was talking to a developer the other day, and he was telling me he just fundamentally believes that the whole Auckland infrastructure debacle is one big conspiracy theory.
Oh yes. Okay.
And it doesn't actually as bad as it is. It's just this damn scaremongering, which is stuffing up the whole development in Auckland. And there is actually, when you push comes to shove and you find enough different solutions, there is capacity in most cases. And
just not in the right place potentially. So there'll be capacity on another side of the city.
We had capacity, and then we didn't have the capacity. So these things take 30 years. So it disappeared. It disappeared in 1 year or 6 months or 3 weeks. It disappeared when a government changed and said, "Oh, we're going to give you back your water responsibilities now." And then the council say, "Oh, damn, we thought we didn't have to do that anymore, so we spent all the money."
Exactly.
We've built another cycle lane, and we've improved your street by removing car parks, and we've spent a lot of time consulting.
Speed bumps, speed bumps, speed bumps.
Spent a lot of time consulting with businesses on how we can improve their CBDs as we rip out the car parking and everything else. Although I do have different thoughts on CBD revitalisation. Well, do we need strong CBDs, John? Is that what we need in New Zealand cities?
Yes. It's one of the nice things about Cambridge, right? It's one of the reasons that Cambridge is so popular. It's constantly being gentrified. There's more and more development. I was sitting out yesterday, actually, and I was meeting someone. I sat down outside the cafe at a table, and I started speaking to someone who ended up being, I think she was a physio or something. And then the person came I talked to, and then someone walks past who you recognize. And, it's got a main street with a center, right? Nice wide footpaths, and people are out on the street, and it's just a nice place to be. And then on the weekend, you've got the farmers market, and there's like cricket in the grounds there, and it's always busy. Like, you go to Hamilton, where do you go? Where's the center? You don't go to Garden Place. That's horrible. And,
well, everyone goes to Te Rapa, because I drove through the CBD like there was tumbleweeds rolling around. Yeah. And then I'm stuck in an hour traffic jam in the bloody mall at Te Rapa.
Oh, so it's horrible, that mall. It's just
what people are going to.
Car parks with sheds around it.
But it's supply and demand, right? That's what people are going to. You go to Tauranga. Devonport Road is half dead, and Tauranga is spending a hell of a lot of the ratepayers' money trying to fix, they've built a flash new building for council to occupy. So they're doing some things there at an expense. But Devonport Road's dead, heaps of for lease signs. And then you go to Bay Fair and you can't get a car park.
Yeah.
Now, and then but also Mount Maunganui Town Centre, I mean, they haven't messed with any of the car parking and stuff, and she's pumping, right?
Yeah.
A little bit like Cambridge. A little bit like Cambridge.
It is.
So Cambridge is
quite nice there, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you've got the restaurants and cafes and a few shops and things, and it's neat that Mount Maunganui Centre.
And and whereas Auckland, they've just messed with the roads so much. I'm not really an advocate or not for parking. I don't really care, but you've got to get rid of the homeless. That's not helping.
No,
and they just made a lot of changes that have messed the place up. And some of it's related to the train set. And that's going to be a great asset to New Zealand when it opens and to Auckland. But it's not going to solve a lot of things really. It's just adding a few stations. I mean, they're going to be fantastic, making a bit of a loop. But it's a hard one.
I was listening to something the other day, the San Francisco's new mayor, Daniel Lurie, and one of the things he's doing is cleaning up the city. And there's been a lot of positive press about him. They've had massive events on in San Francisco, and they're not, there's no arrests and no hassles and whatever. And one of the things he has been doing is cleaning up the drug use in public, right? He's like, why should people be able to take fentanyl in public at a bus stop that children need to use, right? And one of the things he does is spends about 45 minutes every day after he drops his kids off. He walks the streets and talks to these people in these situations and finds out why they're on the street and have they been given help and that type of thing. And he was talking to someone in a cycle lane, and one of the cyclists stopped and abused him for doing this because this homeless person on the street, that's his home. You can't make him move out of his home. The guy's addicted to drugs, is sick on the street, and you've got people saying, no, you can't help them. It's not fair. It's just this level of nonsense, that this woke, it's madness. I don't believe for a minute in New Zealand that the people on the streets have nowhere else to go.
No, some of them actually come in from the suburbs to beg on the streets and then go back home again. Look, it's we're not going to be able to solve it. It's highly complex, but ban it, move them on, put them in a house. But the problem is it's not. It's mental health and drugs, right? That's
absolutely.
But but all the poor businesses in town, they suffer, and we suffer because there's less tourists and everything else.
That's the big thing. That's the thing that bugs me. Why do those people with their mental health and other issues have more rights than other people? More rights than the children on the street, or more rights than the people going to work? Why should you have to put up with that? And it's not that, they're bad and we're good or something, but, just allowing them to be on the street doesn't help anyone. I don't think it helps anyone.
Yeah, they've got that new mayor in New York now as well.
Oh, yeah. He's the opposite, isn't he?
Hard left. Yeah. So that's going to be, Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Should we talk some more about housing?
Yeah, sure. The homeless people need houses.
Consents are up 7% in September. Quite a lot, after 6% in July and 6% in August. So up 12% on the quarter. So it's the strongest growth in building consents since 2020. Annual consents now 34,900, up from 33,700 a year ago. So that's still a big upturn. But yeah, one of the like issues I see is once things get moving again, inflation is a real problem, especially councils and power companies and gas companies and building materials. And, oh, did you hear Air New Zealand is asking for subsidies on domestic routes? So they want the taxpayer to fund them. Like what? And so then it's Air New Zealand, and then it's, and then it's somebody else, and it's somebody else. Like, come on, we can't go down that route. But all of that is inflationary, isn't it?
And wages. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the start? There's old Calvin Davidson. Start of the next construction upturn may have arrived. That's talking about your consents. Higher unemployment, but probably the peak.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's confidence that builds homes, isn't it? And it's uncertainty that kills it. And that's what we need, is that confidence to come back. So when I talked about before the things that drive house prices, I think it's number one is interest rates. Number two is immigration. And number three is confidence. And you need to have the confidence to invest, because these projects take years. By the time you go through the consenting and, and then you get into your build and you sell down, you need to be confident about the future. And how can you do that when people are not confident about their jobs? How can you do that when you have councils flip-flopping the way that they do with, with no advice, no warning, no discussion, just do as they please? And then next year you've got an election as well.
Why do you keep talking about the election? I don't want to think about the bloody thing.
Well, because elections are a reason for people to sit on their bloody hands, right?
So
they're
it's
another
like
reason to sit on their hands. We've been sitting on our hands now for years, right? Waiting. Things are going to get better. I'm just waiting. That's something that so many people I talk to, they're like, what are you up to? It's like, oh, we're just idling, we're just trying to keep our costs down, and we're just waiting for things to improve. An election year is not going to help that.
No, that's scary. It'll be this time next year, won't it? Unless they call a snap election.
It will. And on the positive, house sales generally bounce 3 months after an election. It's only because nobody did anything before the election. So yeah, we won't talk about those taxes again. That's not a good thing. Right.
We've had literally 3 years of a downturn, right? All at 22 it happened, 22, 23, 24. Well, it's almost, it's coming on 4 years. Coming on to 4 years. So
it's a long time.
So things are getting better. I bet they're getting better. We just don't have the data yet.
Well, there are a lot of positive things, that the PMI and PSI, they're turning up. Business confidence is turning up. Interest rates are trending down. There are lots of positives. The
LVR's loosen again on 1st of December. So that's good.
That's true. So people can borrow a little bit more. So Auckland apartments, some of them look pretty cheap on paper. Are they an opportunity or a headache?
Ooh. I thought you were going to stop at looking pretty cheap. Like one developer came to town and started abusing all the local developers, and then they've been suing people. I won't mention their name for copying their plans. But that's fine. It's what it's businessmen and ladies. Yeah, look, townhouses, mate. $5.99. You can buy townhouses in places like Howick, Pakuranga, etc. I mean, that's a.
How can people say housing is unaffordable when you can buy a townhouse for $600,000 in Auckland?
Yeah. So there's so much supply, and stuff is still being sold that, that's an amazing opportunity. So yeah, apartments are an amazing opportunity. You got to make sure they're built correctly. You don't want to buy something that's got a leaky issues or anything else.
Yeah.
Some developers have gone bankrupt. Well, their projects have gone bankrupt. The Amir development in Takapuna. I'm not sure if you know Takapuna. On the way to Takapuna, sort of in the middle of the mangroves, really. There's a bit of a hill. It used to be a church, and they bought the site. Chinese developer built some apartments, heaps of them, and they've had to liquidate that company. But I thought it was strange when they started, because they started after the collapse, right? So It's not like they didn't know. I don't know what their pre-sales and stuff were like. So Yeah, it's just buying an apartment's a little bit more risky, right? Than buying a townhouse, than buying a house. That's the reality of it.
So
Anything
it's
that's
the risk
attached.
spectrum.
But if you're getting a good cash flow and you're yielding 8 or 9% or something like that, ridiculous, because you are getting a bargain.
You just want to buy freehold, though, eh? Would you go anywhere near leasehold? Is there any kind of safe leasehold, or are they all?
Well,
risky?
I don't cross leases freeholds. I sort of ignore that. But as far as leasehold properties, I mean, there hasn't been a lot built recently on leasehold. So you'll be talking about older ones on leasehold. You don't own the property, though. You don't own you own, in some leaseholds, you only own what they call paint to paint within your internal walls.
Oh, wow.
Someone else owns the building and then someone else owns the underlying land. That's some of the complicated structures.
Far out. And then you pay horrendous fees each year.
In England, where leasehold is very common, and they've sorted it out. Basically, if you've got less than 75 years of your lease to run, they start discounting the value to zero.
Yes, I know. In London, they do that.
Yeah, and that's what the value does. And then you've got the big, massive ground rent changes. So every 7 years or every 21 years or whatever, you have this big increase in the rent that you're paying. Although you'd suspect some of them will have to drop that soon. So yeah, no, don't go near leasehold. I mean, but every property's got its thing. If it's a high cash flow thing and you don't care about the leasehold stuff, then maybe, yeah. Why not? People are paying, 30 grand, 40 grand, 100 grand for an apartment that originally sold for 300-400 grand 10 or 15 years ago. Yeah, that's some developments.
Far out.
You just don't want to touch something that has leaky problems or potential leaky problems.
Actually, on China, I'll just digress again for a moment. They've just started or increased the tax on gold purchases. So China is one of the biggest producers of gold. They're also, their market's one of the big buyers of gold. So they've removed a VAT exemption, which basically means they've added a 7% tax on gold purchases. Why would they do that? Apparently they're really hurting, eh? Like, their property market is still sinking. Their local councils are buried in debt. They've got low growth. Now they've got this massive tariff war with the states. So yeah, it's a little bit scary. When governments need cash, they'll just go after whatever they can, right? What people trust. The Chinese love gold and they trust gold. So let's tax that. Interesting. Another just sort of off the wall one. Been watching this Ozempic drug.
Yeah. Eli
Lilly's stock has jumped 50% since August. It's in 3 months, and now Trump has done some kind of deal with them where they have to lower the price and they get some kind of a tariff break so they can import, because a lot of the drugs are made in China.
Is this the you don't feel so hungry drug?
I think so, yeah. You'll just lose weight, but it's kind of scary too. Like,
there'll be something wrong with it, eh?
We'll find
it in 5 years' time. We'll find out. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be? It sounds awesome. You could just eat cake all day and take a tablet and you stay slim, right? Just brilliant. Cake. Yeah. And then maybe you could wash it down with a whiskey at the end, and everything's fine. What could possibly go wrong? Another interesting thing I saw was with this government shutdown in the US, they're at that record length now. One of the problems
40 days or something.
Yeah. They had to, the other day, the transport secretary had to cancel 10% of all the flights in the US because they haven't got air traffic control to cope. So I don't know whether they're not paying people or whatever. Can you imagine, though, the disruption? I mean, there's probably millions of flights a day in the States, right? They're just nuts. You go to any US airport and you're in a queue of 12 other planes to take off. That's just your runway, and there's multiple runways. Canceling 10% of flights. Oh my gosh, the disruption.
You also, because if you fly a bit cheaper, you go from Phoenix to Atlanta to New York. So there's connecting flights and all that gets messed up as well.
Mm.
Yeah, it's weird. The US shutdown, it happens every time, eh? It's weird how it is. Are they trying to raise the debt ceiling? Is that what it is?
I think so. Spend more money. Yeah, they want to spend more money. We got caught. We had tickets to go to Top Gun, to an air show at just north of San Diego, there where Top Gun was, where the base, Air Force Base.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And they shut it down. It was closed because they had no money. And then we went to...
Is this the last time around?
This was years ago. Yeah. And we went to the Grand Canyon and we couldn't go in because the national park was closed. All the national parks are closed. You're like, you jerks. It was so stupid. So stupid. Meanwhile, in New Zealand, I don't know if you heard that our Crown accounts have gone backwards again. And guess why? lower tax revenue. It's brilliant. Yeah, because the economy's stuffed. Why are you not lowering interest rates, you drongos? It's just all fun and games.
Back to housing, John.
Yes.
If you want a nice quarter-acre section in Auckland now, there's dozens of them in Otara.
Otara,
right?
okay.
Otara.
That's a nice part of town, isn't it?
Well, it's an up and coming, almost working person's town.
Is it? Well, because Mangare's changed quite a bit, hasn't it?
Yeah, look, Otara's it's close to the city. That's one thing going for it. But it had been going through massive gentrification. But of course, now half the suburb of Otara has been red zoned, as everyone likes to use red zone now, for no wastewater infrastructure. So there's an article here, Otara house prices dropped from their peak of nearly $1 million down to about 700 grand because it's not developers buying them. It's just people who want an old house, which they can do up on a nice big section.
Wow.
So the Kiwi dream survives despite council telling us density.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a joke. This infrastructure thing is it real? That's what I'm really asking.
Yeah.
How real is it?
Yeah, I wonder.
Is it like climate change? Won't go down there.
Did you see in New Zealand's new electric aeroplane?
No.
They were flying around. It looks like it had 2 seats. And I just looked at it and I thought, why? Like, why?
It would just be all battery, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It'd be massive weight.
Generate the power.
Yeah. And they'll get better and all the rest of it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do like electric vehicles. Like my Tesla's great. And now I upgraded to that supervised self-driving.
Right.
And when I was in Auckland recently, the way it navigated Spaghetti Junction, 4 lanes of heavy traffic and changing lanes to turn off, just so impressive.
What are you doing? Just holding your hands like away from the steering wheel?
Like that. Having a coffee, eating my croissant. It's actually very impressive because we had about a kilometre to go to the turn off, and I think at about a kilometre or 800 it indicated to change, and then it was about to go in, and then someone closed it up. It's Auckland, right? People don't fight over space on the motorway for some reason. I don't know, and then we had a gap, and it just started to turn into the gap, and a ute came racing through, so it pulled back. It didn't even get angry. Like, I would have probably tooted the guy, but I left the car to it, and it was 800 and then 600, and there were about 400 out, and I was like, what's it going to do now? It just slowed down, let the traffic go past, and then pulled in the gap. Like, it's really clever. I think once there are enough electric vehicles on the road and they're all communicating with each other, I think that's going to do more for the road toll than anything else.
But even in the cheaper cars like a Kia that my wife's got, you can except for the time where it says put your hands on the steering wheel, keeps buzzing you. Right. You can actually take your hands off the steering wheel, and it does the cruise control back and forth, measuring where the car in front is, and it does the lane control. Yes. Just those 2 things pretty much drives itself on an open road.
Exactly. It's great, isn't it? And that was one of the rental cars we had in Australia. It was the same thing. I was just like, I wonder what this can do. It can do that. And that's, you really appreciate it when you're driving somewhere else, when, you're trying to look for stuff or whatever it might be. You're a bit busier than normal. That's all you need is a little bit of lane assist and that adaptive cruise.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, because at that moment of inattention and you're in somebody's boot, I don't enjoy driving as much as I used to, especially as there's so much more traffic now, and the roads aren't even that good. But I think once the machines do it, because you think how many people are driving drunk, stoned, like tired, angry, distracted. I mean, humans are the worst people to put behind a wheel.
Yeah, well, my son, he goes for his license when he turns 16 in a couple of weeks' time. So I can't wait for him to get the license, and Dad doesn't have to be such a taxi driver. But it's like, it's pretty cheap to get round. We live quite central. Pretty cheap to get round on Uber. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does he really need a car to sort of do
Uber's
stuff?
dropped a lot. I was really surprised. And again, stayed in Auckland, and most of the Ubers around town were $10 from down at Viaduct up to K Road. $10. They can't be making much money, out of that.
No, mate. Well, maybe their business is down as well. Because, if you haven't got a job, becoming an Uber driver, right? There's a lot of people do that.
Yeah, that's true. And tourism isn't quite back.
There's also there's quite a few retired people who do Uber driving as well. Almost for a bit of cash and a bit of fun. I keep running into one guy in Tauranga all the time. So maybe there's just too many of them, like everything.
Yeah. Cool bananas. All right. Maybe we could wrap it up there.
Yeah.
We've had a very rando chat about all kinds of different things. I'm sure people have listened to us a few times. We'll be okay with that. They knew what to expect. For first timers, yeah, don't worry. We do talk about housing and property development, but yeah, you know, we've got to keep it interesting. There's a lot more going on in the world than building houses. But look, if you want to do development, if you're new to development, don't know where to start, take a look at my Property Development Club course. It's 42 videos, puts development into 17 steps. It won't tell you everything you need to know because there's just so much. You do it for 20 years and you're still learning, but it'll give you a really good idea of where to start, what to do, and talk to as many people as you can, learn as much as you can. It's a very tricky business, property development, but it can also be very lucrative, right? If it works out, you know, you can do very well. And one of the things I like most about it though is actually creating real things, so that you actually get to see what you've done. You built a real physical building and people live in it, and it's there for a long time. Do you agree with that, Andrew? You've built a lot of buildings. Do you enjoy driving past them?
I helped build that. I was actually just doing that the other day with my father. So he came and stayed at our place, took him to watch the kids play cricket, driving by Hobsonville Point. I said, the last outfit I actually was employed by, Dad, we built 1,000 houses there. Here's some. And, you know, about 700 while I was CEO. So, yeah, no, it is good. I do miss that part because now essentially I'm a bloody consultant, right? So but I'm doing development management for various people. But it is great. Once you get past the plethora of reports on report, I mean, I've got this resource consent, which is 6 months in the making right now. And it's just traffic reports. Yeah, it says the same thing, different things, arguing about stuff. It's like, it's in our site. It doesn't matter. Anyway, Once you get past all the reports and all that annoying stuff and you actually get your slab down, framing up, roof on, painting, and then you're moaning about, hey, is that brick straight enough? Is that tap good enough? And all those tangible things. That's what we're here to do, right? Yeah. Deliver spaces that people, there's no AI, it's AI, but there's no, it's just physical. It's bricks and mortar and timber and you almost
forget about the building these days because you spend so much bloody time with the consenting and the reports.
Yeah.
We've got that one in Cambridge, 15 unit site. We are waiting for draft conditions. Traffic was the last stuff that we needed to deal with. But I bought that in October last year. Yeah. I think we put the consent in around December. Yeah. And we're still trying to get resource consent. It's just
there's no traffic on that road. Oh, is that the one by the motel?
Yeah. There's very little traffic.
There's no traffic.
Twice a day, there's a little bit of traffic on that road. I mean, most of it comes in now on Victoria Road off the motorway, and they've just blocked so many roads that everyone has to drive on the same road. So they've guaranteed that there's a traffic jam every day on Victoria Road, which is nice.
Right.
But hey, we're not going to try and understand traffic engineers. That's a whole nother podcast. All right. Very good. Well, thanks everyone for listening. If you have anything you'd like us to talk about, please send us a message. And yeah, good luck with your property investing, with your property developing, and keep pushing back. We need more positive, practical sort of people in New Zealand and in the housing industry, people who actually make real things happen. So keep pushing back against the woke nonsense. Anyway, that's all for me. And Andrew, thank you very much.
John, thank you.